The Call of the Soil, Part 3. Besides, he said that each year they had to increase the quantity of urea and pesticides they used. It was as if the newer hybrids had an insatiable appetite for chemicals. He told us that even when there were flash floods in the 60s, Kasbai had stood its ground. He fondly remembered how the rice was still standing when they all returned to the village after the floods had receded. Such was the strength of the rice. But look what we have done, he rued. As he went on reminiscing about the rice, we gently guided him back to the reason for our visit, the Kasbai seeds. He was sure that there was not a single villager in his area who could have the seeds of Kasbai. According to him, the only people who still grew it were the Adivasis in a hamlet at the foothills of the mountains in the next village, Asarvari. We bid farewell to Devu Handa, who lovingly blessed us and said, Mahalakshmi, the local goddess, will give you the seeds of Kasbai. In Asarvari village, we asked the Sarpanch to help us, as we were not very fluent with the local dialect. He sent his assistant Jeevan with us into the hills. After a half-hour walk through thick vegetation, crossing numerous streams and ditches and scrambling over rocks and gravel, we reached the sleepy hamlet of Boripada. There were just two ramshackle houses in front of us, and we wondered if this was the right place. A wrinkled old woman sitting before one of the houses looked at us with curiosity. As we approached her, we signaled to Jeevan to ask the crucial question. She muttered in reply, and we looked at Jeevan for a quick interpretation. He broke into a smile and informed us that she did have the rice and wanted to know who we were and why we wanted it. It was a difficult task to keep a straight face, and I had to control a strong desire to hug her. After searching for months, we had found the elusive Kasbai. We explained to her that we were from Peth nearby and we needed the seeds to grow it. We asked for 10 kilograms of rice. She muttered and scowled. Jeevan interpreted that she had never heard of Peth village and also did not have a weighing scale. She was willing to give the seeds only in baskets. We asked for a single basket of rice and Jeevan told us to pay her something. I handed over a 100-rupee note, and for the first time in the last 10 minutes, her face broke into a smile. She nodded her head in approval. As we walked back against the fading sunset, leaving behind a smiling old lady, I couldn't help but wonder that here, nestling in the foothills of an unknown mountain, away from the hustle and bustle of the road or the city, were the real people of India. These were the people who still held on to the rich biodiversity of our land, and no one even cared about them. They had never heard of hybrids, fertilizers, or pesticides. They just grew their rice and ate what they got. The old lady we met had probably never left Boripada. Her world was unspoiled by progress, and for once I was grateful for that. Venkat Iyer. So, the moral of the call of the soil is that using too many pesticides and fertilizers can harm the growth of plant and crops. So, Venkat Iyer, the author, believes that farmers who want hybrid crops often use dangerous chemicals and pesticides on their plants, which can make the crops unhealthy. Also, Venkat Iyer contends that by relying heavily on synthetic chemicals, farmers disrupt the natural balance of the soil and its ecosystem. Pillars of Democracy. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar was born on 14th April 1891 in the town and military cantonment of Mhow. now Dr. Ambedkar Nagar, in Madhya Pradesh. He got his degree from Elphinstone College, Mumbai. He subsequently obtained the doctorate from Columbia University, USA, and London School of Economics. He was also assigned the big and challenging task of framing the Constitution of India in the capacity of the chairman of the drafting committee. He was awarded the Bharat Ratna posthumously for his dedication and commitment for the welfare of our country. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar has laid emphasis on the values of liberty, equality, and fraternity. According to him, these principles will make India a strong nation. He is of the view that hero worship is a sure road to degradation and to eventual dictatorship and the collapse of a nation. Pillars of democracy. If we wish to maintain democracy not merely in form but also in fact, what must we do? The first thing, in my judgment, we must do is to hold fast to constitutional methods of achieving our social and economic objectives. When there was no way left for constitutional methods for achieving economic and social objectives, there was a great deal of justification for unconstitutional methods. But where constitutional methods are open, there can be no justification for these unconstitutional methods. These methods are nothing but the grammar of anarchy, and the sooner they are abandoned, the better for us. The second thing we must do is to observe the caution which John Stuart Mill has given to all who are interested in the maintenance of democracy, namely, not to lay their liberties at the feet of even a great man, or to trust him with powers which enable him to subvert their institutions.